Recording in progress.
Oh.
Okay. Hopefully you don't get much echo.
Yeah.
Start the recording. Okay. So my name is Antonio Martinez. I'm a board member of the Peninsula Astronomical Society Club, based in, basically for this year, we manned the telescope. And tonight we have the pleasure of having Kata Campbell, who's a member of our club and quite enthusiastic, and actually she takes, with just an iPhone, some really amazing photographs. So she's here to explain what she does and share some of her stunning images that she's captured on the phone. So with that, I'm just going to pass it on to Kata, and thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. Thank you for the introduction, Antonio. My name is Kata, like he said. And first of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming tonight. It really means a lot for me. So welcome to Introduction to Mobile Phone Astrophotography. If my slides will work, I will show you my next slide. Okay, so here's a little bit about me. I'm from Sunnyvale. I've been homeschooled pretty much all my life until 2 years ago. I'm a second-year physics student at Foothill College. And yes, the transition from homeschool to full-on public school with people who are mostly older than me was quite abrupt, but I've adjusted and adapted and made a lot of new friends and made a lot of connections, which is why I'm here now. So I'm super excited about that. I volunteer at Foothill Observatory, like Antonio was talking about, every third Friday. Come visit me. And basically, over the past year and a half, I've been doing that and taking photos from them. And it's just been a really enriching experience. I get to meet a lot of people every time I go, and it just makes me really happy. So I'm excited to share that with you. First of all, I'm going to show you some of the photos that I've taken, some of my favorites as a sort of primer. And let me just explain here. This is Orion Nebula, also known as M42, I think. It is in the constellation Orion, and when you look up in the sky, you can actually see the nebula. You can't see it like this, but it looks like a small pinpoint or pinhole like light up there in Orion's sword or dagger. And up close it looks like this. This is a 10-second exposure using my phone, just my phone, and of course the big telescope from the observatory. But I was pretty amazed I even captured this because you can really see the structure, the dust structure and the nebulosity. So I was quite impressed with that.
Can you talk a little bit about the telescope? Like how old is it? And in the frame of telescopes, is it on the low end? Is it on the high end of capability? I don't know anything about it.
That's a good question for Antonio. I don't know much about. I know that the observatory was, or PASS was founded in 1949.
So we could tell you more afterwards, but just briefly, it's Schmidt Cassegrain 16-inch telescope. And you're welcome to come tomorrow night from 9 to 11.
And all your photos are the iPhone through the telescope lens.
Yes, but not just that telescope. Like, for example, here, this picture was taken on a pretty much basic reflector telescope. I think it was even pulled out of a dumpster at Foothill. So I was pretty impressed with this picture because it's quite crisp. As you can see a whole crater right here, another crater, another crater. So, and this was right as this was in the summer, so maybe like 8 or 9, right as the sun was setting. So it's got that really nice color. So, yeah.
So is that the reason that it's brighter?
Yes, light
Not a
blue.
deep shadow.
Yeah. The light blue, it's just like as the sun was setting. So I was really cool, really impressed with that. And then here's a picture of Jupiter. This is actually very recent, from a few nights ago, a week ago. Usually Jupiter is really difficult to take a picture of because of its brightness. It's just really bright. Like even if you're outside, you can see it and you can spot it. It's like, looks like the brightest star, but it's actually a planet, a gas giant, in fact. But yeah, I think there's a little bit of, there's still a little bit of debate between me and my friends about why it came out so good. But that night was a little bit cloudy, so that's what I think. Sort of made it a little bit easier for my camera to digest. This is just a picture of the moon. Well, not just a picture, it's a pretty good picture because it was the first image that I took through my own personal telescope, my upgrade, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But I was really happy with this because finally my pictures weren't coming out as blurry and motion-ish as they were before when I was using binoculars. So, what is mobile phone astrophotography? It's pretty self-explanatory just from the name, but I'll go into it just because there's a lot of depth, especially with what I do. It's just capturing photos of celestial bodies using simple tools like a smartphone and accessories, as you can see on the table. I'll talk about these toys in a second. Again, my slides aren't working. Oh, thank you. So let's talk about equipment. This can be from setups to mounts to anything physical that helps you take an image that isn't your phone. So here's what I started out with when I first started taking pictures of celestial bodies, not from the observatory. Pretty much I wasn't ready to make or me and my wallet weren't ready to make the decision to buy an actual telescope. So I used what I had and took a pair of binoculars, a tripod, and a mount like this, which I just got off of Amazon. It's very affordable, and started taking pictures. This is a picture that I took. It's good. You can see some of the detail, the crater right here. But it was a little bit blurry because it was just difficult to get it in that right position, that sweet spot. I think that was also a cloudy night, and I kind of gave up on this setup pretty quickly. This is my upgrade. The Meade ETX 70. Yes, it is right here. It's sort of tabletop size, not too big, not too much of a struggle to use. As you can see here, I'm very happy with my setup. I had just bought it that day, I think, so I was really excited when the moon was out. And these photos are actually really fresh because you can see here there's some really good definition on this one, edited version, this one's unedited, and still both of the pictures look really good. So I'm very happy with that. And this one actually does have a tracking system as opposed to the very primitive binoculars on a tripod. It didn't really help at all. But with this, I actually have hope to take pictures of other objects like Jupiter and Saturn. I just haven't tried it yet because the motors are a little bit wonky. I did buy this secondhand, so it was expected, but I'm looking forward to what other things I can take with this telescope. Mounts. This is a big thing, especially if you're someone who already has a telescope, a little bit advanced. Mounts have helped me in a lot of ways, especially at the observatory, because when you're wanting to take a long exposure or a video of something, for example, the lunar occultation of Mars last year we had, or the eclipse, it just makes it a lot easier so you don't have to hold it in the perfect spot for whatever amount of time you need. Let's see, I have some examples here. I really like the ones that are adjustable on an X and Y axis, so you can move it like so, or like so. Oh, yeah, no, yep. Those are perfect. Also, if you want something more simple, like if you don't really need the precision, even though I don't really understand that. This is a great one. It's off of Amazon. All of these are pretty much off of Amazon. And you basically just mount your phone and put it on. So it's quite handy to have these. So now methods. This is pretty much 90% of what you'll be doing when you're taking pictures of things using your phone, especially since it's not really, what's the word, traditional way of taking pictures of celestial objects or with your phone. You're gonna need to know some of these tips. This has been a lifesaver for me. I'm not sure if any of you have taken a photo and noticed that when you press on it, it makes a little movie. That's called a live photo. It's basically just taking a very short video, which means you can pick any frame in the short video that looks best for you. So this is an image I took of Jupiter. That night was really cold, and so I was shaking, but there was one frame in there that looked really crisp, and so I grabbed that. As you can see on the bottom, you can choose from any one of these. And it just makes things a lot easier so you don't have to strive for perfection every time. Same thing with video. So I have a little video demo for you here. Oh no, I don't know what I did. Okay. So this is just a video that I took of the eclipse, and you can see me picking out which one is the best frame and grabbing a screenshot of that. And so this is also really handy. It's basically the same idea as with the live photo, except you just have a larger array of pictures to choose from. Okay, long exposure. This one is especially useful for when you're taking pictures of a lot of stars or nebula, like I showed you in the beginning, the Orion Nebula, that one, like I'm pretty sure in person when you were looking through the eyepiece, even that was hard for you to see with just your naked eye. So the long exposure really allows that to pop, and it's a great feature. Let me see. Here's just a, there we go. Here is a side-by-side of the Pleiades,
Zoya,
open star cluster. And you can see like right here, these dimmer stars weren't visible in this, or they were, but they were very, very, very dim. And this one is just a more high quality image. You can see like all of that, and it's just, it's great. They can range from 3 to 30 seconds. The funny thing about this setting is that your phone trying to make your life easier for you actually makes it harder. And so the time that it'll give you to take your long exposure depends on the brightness of your environment. And so that's one struggle I've been dealing with for the past year. I haven't figured out how to change it, but I'm sure there's a way, or there will be a way. But Usually 10 seconds is about enough.
Was that through telescope lens?
Yes, this was also at the Foothill Observatory. Oh yeah, so brightness, this is what I do 90% of the time when I'm taking photos. Adjusting the brightness just really helps overall with the contrast and the brightness, obviously. But taking images of, for example, Jupiter, like I showed you at the beginning, I talked about how bright it was, and that makes it difficult to take high quality photos. A lot of the time, the problem with when you're taking an image and it looks low quality and too bright is that the brightness is just way too high. So basically, when you're in the camera app, you just tap on the object you're trying to take an image of, and a little a toggle or a slider will appear, and it's a little bit of a struggle to get that and hold it in the right place at the same time, but it's definitely worth it. And like I said, 90% of what I do when I'm taking photos. Editing. So, editing is sort of a bit, it's a substantial part of taking photos. For example, if you take a photo of the moon and you notice there's sort of a halo around it, and you just want it to be more defined, you want to be able to see the craters more. There's a way that you can improve your picture without downloading any external software, and overall just being more convenient for you when you can just edit it in your phone. So when you're looking at your photos, you might notice that there's a button right up here that says edit. And when you click that, it'll show you a bunch of options. Right here, I have another video. So you can just scroll through the bar on the bottom. See, they've got a bunch of options. My top 5 are exposure, contrast, definition, brightness, and black point. I can explain what each of these are used for. Exposure, obviously, to turn down the exposure, or I guess brightness. Contrast makes everything a lot more contrasted. Okay, I realize I'm not really explaining that very well, but it makes, for example, these darker spots on the moon pop a lot more. Definition does the same thing. It just makes the images a lot more crisp, and brightness, we already know what that's for. Black point is really useful when you have an image that sort of has like this hue around it, or like a halo, and if you bring it up, it'll slightly disappear and make the object that you're actually trying to capture more prominent, and the star of the show. No pun intended. Pun intended. So problems you may encounter, problems I've noticed over the past year when I've been taking photos or when other people take photos, and how to remedy that. So you may notice on your phone, whatever phone you may have. I know a lot of phones have multiple lenses or cameras to take photos, but they when you switch, or like when you zoom out or zoom in of a photo, it switches the camera or the lens, and that's obviously something that may be a problem when you're trying to take a picture in a little eyepiece. So usually when I take photos, I just try to keep it in the wide angle, or just the 1x, because that keeps it just on one camera. Like, as you can see, there's multiple here, and it just stays on one. I also use zoom a little bit, but not too far, because it makes it really difficult to sort of get it aligned right there, and even harder to find the object once you've lost it. So yeah, just wide angle in general. I know that's sort of a duh moment, but it brings down the quality of the images, and also it captures the entire around you. Obviously, that's why it's called wide angle, and that's you just want what you see in the eyepiece. So for a lot of the phones, especially the new one past year, the iPhone 15 came out and everyone came and wanted to take photos with their new camera, and it keeps on switching to the macro lens, which isn't optimal because now it just wants to take a picture of the eyepiece and not what you're looking at through the eyepiece. So there's a way that you can turn that off in settings, thankfully, and it's basically you just go into camera and toggle the auto macro switch, or it might be written as control macro in your iPhone or phone. I'm not sure how this is with phones that aren't Apple or aren't iPhone, but I'm sure that there's some way. I'm not really specialized in that part, but this is what I know. So yeah, here's some more photos just to show off what I've done over the past year and a half. And this is one of the solar eclipse. I think my favorite part about this image is that you can't really see it very clearly, but there's a sunspot right there. And so that's quite impressive, and I was pretty proud of that. This is through a full spectrum filter, hence the color. So it's basically just like looking through sunglasses, and I'm sure most of you know that. This is another picture from the solar eclipse, this time with a hydrogen alpha filter. So you can see some of the filaments and the prominences on the edges. It was a very cloudy day, unfortunately, but you can still see the eclipse. But the clouds just added more coolness to it, so I'm not mad about that. Saturn, this is actually a pretty dated photo. I think I took this sometime in summer. But this is the clearest photo I have of Saturn. I'm definitely working on improving, but I'm quite happy with the turnouts of this. This was edited to look more, defined, because it was very bright, and I used black point, and I used contrast to make the rings more prominent, or the ring more prominent. And then here again is Jupiter. I'm not sure why I put that in twice, but we're gonna go with it.
It's the best picture.
You're a little bit biased because you were there, but I'm biased too. Here's a picture of the lunar occultation of Mars. Right there, that little blip, that little dot that looks like dust is actually Mars. I have a better picture of this, don't worry. But this was still is, after a full year, my favorite moment of my astrophotography. And there's a video which I will show you in a moment. But this was through the Finder telescope, and which means it's just it wasn't zoomed in as the main telescope, so you can really see the full moon and Mars, and so I just wanted to display that.
Yeah, question, these are all fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. I'm trying to understand the mechanics since I haven't gone to a Friday night. Is this always on a Friday night? And
Yes.
so are you given, because you're a club member, like more time, like is it 1 minute that you're on the lens? I'm just trying to understand how quick this is happening, and or do you have enough setup time? Because you talked about setup is important. I appreciate that.
Yes, setup is important, but in an environment like this where you're at the observatory, actually we recommend that most people don't take pictures at the observatory because of the amount of people who come, but I do get extra time because I work there, but over time I've gotten better at it, and I just snap a quick photo, and I'm like, go ahead, sorry. But you don't have to take photos photos like this aren't just from like an observatory. I tried to show that with like my telescope. It's still not quite fully functioning, but yeah, it's possible to take photos like this, not just at a big observatory with a big old 16-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope. This is possible for anyone with the willingness to put the effort. So these are more star clusters. This one I just called star cluster because if I'm honest, this was taken a year ago and I can't remember which one that was. Maybe Antonio can identify it for me, but a little bit embarrassing. But this is another image of Pleiades, which I think is very vivid and sparkly. So I just wanted to show some of those. Oh, of course, and the sun. Right here, you can see a very large sunspot. And
Hydrogen alpha.
yes, another image in hydrogen alpha. So you can really see the prominences on the side. And these, at first I thought these were dust specks, but they are filaments. They are in fact filaments. So that was just really. I'm wondering if, from an outside point of view, this looks a bit blurry because for me, my standards with the phone are somewhat low, but this was just. I was very impressed because I had no idea I could take such an image where I could actually capture prominence. Or actually, why didn't I use my pointer since the beginning? This is easier. Yeah, that's just the sun. Here's another image from the lunar occultation. Here you can really see the color of Mars right next to the moon. And I do have the video right here. So yeah, this was a one-time speed video, which I speeded up, obviously, so this is sped up. It took a lot longer than this, but you can really just see it go right by. Sorry? No, I did not have the mead back then, but this was at the observatory. We took a night to watch this, and it was just really fascinating. And I had actually, which I had this. Oh, it was this mount. It's not really no difference, but still, I had this mount, and it was really handy when we were waiting for that occultation because it would have been really hard to just stand there holding the phone right there, waiting. Okay, is the hour up yet? Is it coming out the other side? It was also nice because it was on a screen and we could all watch it as it passed by. So that was really stunning footage.
Watch it on the screen.
Oh yes. So since my basically my phone was like this. This isn't the actual telescope I use, but imagine at the observatory I had my phone on a mount like right here, and we could just watch as it happened, as it was recording. So it was very exciting night. Sorry, let me get back into my slides here. So that would be it for my presentation. I'm open to comments, questions, anything, discussions. Just, yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Put me on the spot, I'm not completely sure which cluster that was.
Sorry.
It's either the wild duck or 37 cluster. I'm not sure. Just from the shape of the stars. But come to the observatory.
Yes.
Well, it's hard to upstage, the occultation, but what's next for you?
What's next for me? That's a good question. Well, next year we have the next eclipse, so I'm definitely gonna capture. I'm gonna attempt to capture that with a video of that with my telescope. Obviously, I'm gonna need a filter and all, but that's one of my goals. Maybe I'll have another upgrade by then. Who knows? But that would be just really, really cool to capture.
That's a great question. What are the big sky events for 2024?
Oh, you put me on the spot, but definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
That is a big one.
Probably,
And will we be able to see it here?
I think it partially.
Partial, but that, you look it up on the web and you'll see that.
I was gonna add, you'll see a partial eclipse here, about half, well, half here on April 8th. And there's a still less prominent one later in the year as well, like very less prominent, 10% coverage. But still,
It's gonna go to Texas or something.
you're gonna have to go to Texas.
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's the big one, is the one, it's in Austin or something, or near Austin, is a good spot.
Yeah, the big one is for Charleston. And the smaller one will just barely touch California, but it was
Anyone else want to start a discussion, a comment, any questions?
Have you guys ever gotten any shots of like this Andromeda galaxy?
Andromeda Galaxy.
The next one you should.
Yeah, that's my next one, I guess. That's a good point.
I put the Schmidt screen on Andromeda once.
Yeah.
It
No, I
just
think I was there.
fuzz.
It was
Yeah.
it was fuzz, yeah. Just a presence, a luminous cloud. Barely luminous.
And a little more about your XY.
Oh yeah, yeah. So unfortunately no, actually I'm not sure.
So it's XYZ,
Some of them are.
and then Celestron has one, XYZ.
So let me just take this out.
Is that the-
Yeah,
Pass them around.
oh yeah, I can pass them around. You guys are interested.
What model is that?
Oh, okay. Okay, we can mess around with this.
Which model is this?
I think it's Celestron.
Celestron?
brand. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure that's off of Amazon. Very handy website.
Yeah.
This is another one. Great help.
It's on your telescopes.
Oh, it is.
So Keita, here, for novices, so you would put this on a tripod?
Yes.
So your phone in here on a tripod? Okay.
Yeah.
No,
No.
you have to wrap this.
Oh, no.
around the eyepiece.
Not a tripod. Yes, you're completely correct. So this is the part that goes on to the telescope.
It clamps on the
Or the binocular that you have there.
So it clamps on,
There
okay.
you go.
Yeah, it clamps on like this. This is sort of, I don't know if those local handle this.
You could even do it with a binocular, you'd be surprised.
Yeah,
Yeah.
binoculars as well. That's I used that with my beginner setup. So you just sort of mount it on this way.
Do you have to put settings on your smartphone?
She said wide angle,
Wide.
so that's the way
It's on-
to
it's on
start.
clear tonight.
But not night, you don't have like all the modes and all that? You have to-
So with this mount, all it is just a mechanical tool or just a thing to help you out with the positioning or the just holding the camera basically. Yeah.
What do you do about vibration? I mean, when you have to touch it to take the picture. That's exactly when you don't want to have vibration.
Yeah.
Now, there is a little device, that's a Bluetooth switch.
Yeah. That's funny because I was arguing with That's my dad for context. This is a Bluetooth little remote. I guess it came with the mount, but you can hook it up. I'm not sure. It says Tridaptor. So, yeah.
You can also use the headphones that with your iPhone. Take a photo
Yeah.
of it, takes 10 seconds on most phones. It will wait a full second after you press the shutter for the vibration to stop. So it expects you to, yeah. It doesn't do anything fancy like checking to see if it's vibrating, it just waits a minute, or waits a second.
Yeah.
And then do you have to do any post-imaging processing, anything afterwards?
Yes, I can go back to these slides. Let me see. This was the editing portion. Basically, I just talked about using the editor built in with your phone already. I tried to minimize as much as I could with no external softwares or editors on phone for this presentation, especially because I don't use any. That's still that's still something I'm figuring out. I'm told that I should start learning how to do things outside of, but I don't really like leaving my comfort zone. That's not true, but it's just easier to do it when it's already given to you. But yeah, so I use these settings. Let me play this video again. Exposure, contrast, definition, brightness, black point. I don't have any certain order of operations or specific rules or reasonings as to which one to do it. Just I just mess around with it, and it does that. And really, whatever is best, whatever makes your photo look stunning, is what's right for the image.
So do you have to do
Sorry.
you have to do the same editing in Google Photos in your, you don't have to necessarily do it on the phone.
Yes.
The same editing is available in Google Photos, yeah. If you just upload it onto your laptop and open up Google Photos, you get the same editing feature.
Exactly.
And you can play around with it to see what you like best.
And the same editing for the Apple
Yeah,
library.
that's right.
too.
Yes.
Same editor is built into your Macintosh.
Yes.
Now,
Exactly.
do you always take photos using another device and snapping your phone into it, or do you ever take any photos directly with the phone?
Yes. I often do so.
That'll be challenging.
I often do so, especially when at the observatory, because setting up the mount and the everything else, that's definitely something I mostly do alone because I don't want to hog the telescope. But yeah, holding the phone up to the eyepiece is sort of a skill that develops. When I see a lot of people take photos at the observatory, when we're kind of having a slow night and a few people come in and we let them take pictures, you have to get it at a certain distance. I'm sure there's some sort of science with this. That guy can probably explain it better than I can. Which now you're probably thinking, why is this person the one giving the talk? But
You sell yourself short. I've seen you just say, take a photo, just like that, aim the phone, go.
yeah,
That's research stuff.
that's definitely from a year of doing that. It takes a second to adjust to the needs that to get a good photo. You have to get it at a certain angle and a certain distance. The angle most of the time is best when it's just straight on, head on, 90 degrees.
So getting an adapter and practicing is probably the
Yeah.
best skill to
Yes.
start on. Okay, so middle of the road adapter
Yes.
off of Amazon.
Yeah.
Well, that 3-axis is very nice.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah.
You can go X, Y, and then get
Yes.
the approximate image. And then the Z, you can get focus on.
It's very, very fancy. The Z, that's actually really helpful for when you're trying to take a photo. I see a lot of people, they hold it right up to the eyepiece, and it sort of looks like you're looking at it through a pinhole. And it's just like, that's the difficult part about it. When you're holding up your camera to the eyepiece, I don't know why Siri is on. Thank you, no thank you. You have to get it at a certain distance so that the full thing. Actually, hold on, let me go back to this. So like right here, my camera is a little bit too close to the eyepiece, so you can sort of see a vignette of sorts. But in this, wait a second. Nope. Yeah, in this photo, you can see like the edge is very crisp. It's getting the full image that you would see. And that is definitely, for me, the biggest struggle. Or, yeah, it's a big struggle.
Did I ever get, like, you give up on a photo? Because I know I've done that.
Yes. I gave up the other night. Last Friday I was working. Do you ever give up on a photo? This was mostly just due to weather. But I gave up on taking another picture of Orion Nebula because it just wasn't coming out like the first time. And so I was like, you know what? I don't want to ruin my streak. So I just left it where it was. Yes.
So as an expert, what would you change? Or not necessarily change, but are there deficiencies or something that if you were able to, you would adjust or to optimize what you're trying to accomplish?
I would definitely adjust the software decisions of the camera app. It's great for when normal people trying to take a photo. It's great because it adjusts to like it's automatic and adjusts to the environment. But when I'm trying to take a photo of a particularly dim object and it keeps on forcing me to take a 2-second exposure instead of a 30-second exposure, that's when it gets frustrating. And that's another point where I would give up because it's there are ways around it. Like I said, there are external softwares and apps you can use for that. But for me, it's just a hassle, and maybe I'll get around to figuring that out. Maybe I'll muster up the patience. But for now, I'll just stick with what I have.
So for those people that are still online, if you have a question, feel free to unmute and ask your question.
Mhm.
So, but go ahead, Kata.
Oh yeah, no problem. Anything else? Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
so
come on over and take a look. I'm sure she'll be happy to share some
Oh yeah.
more.
That's
With
around
that?
the stuff on the... Yes, totally.
Okay. Another, and we're honored to have Dr. Cagle, who's NASA expert.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Kata. That was wonderful. And please come forward, and I'm sure Kata can show some of this stuff.
Yeah, of course. Don't be afraid to mess
And that other
around with
piece
some of
that
this
went
stuff.
around.
It's mostly constructible.
Okay, thank you again, Kata.
Take some pamphlets, take some information about the upcoming eclipse.